everyone, and welcome back to the Talk of Fame podcast. I'm your host, Kyliemontigney, and today we have an inspiring guest joining us, which is Gina Casazza. Gina is an accomplished author, speaker, and the founder of the nonprofit Empower Lit, Literacy and Beyond. With an impressive career that includes working alongside legends like Ralph Machado and Penny Marshall, as well as training with a Navy SEAL, Gina has transformed her extraordinary experiences into a mission to inspire and empower others. Her children's books and speaking engagements focus on themes of belonging and resilience, encouraging students to uncover their own stories and reach their full potential. Through Empower Lit, Gina brings the joy of reading and personal growth to understand communities, helping every child understand that they're capable, worthy, and destined for greatness. Gina, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
So, if people are kind of unfamiliar or just kind of want to learn more about you, can you share the moment where your mom that sparked your decision in challenging yourself with the SEER training? Because working with the Navy SEAL, like that is one of the hardest tasks like anyone can handle.
Well, I was very grateful because it is a prep program. The Navy SEAL program was a prep program. So everyone was kind of at their own pace, even though we were all doing the same exact thing. It was okay if I was last, like I will get to, improve over time, which is really wonderful. But it was extremely challenging. The hardest thing I did physically, mentally, emotionally. And what sparked that, like you asked, was I signed up for a SEER program. For those of you that don't know, SEER is a kind of it's a kidnapping. Like it's what the military goes through in case they are kidnapped by like the Taliban. Except this is a civilian course, so it was only a weekend, and SEER stands for Survival, Invasion, Resistance, Escape. And what sparked it was I was living in Los Angeles. My mom was with me, and the news was just fear mongering. The crime was out of control. It was just a really unsafe time. And I just was thinking out loud. And I was just like, you think I can survive a kidnapping? And she was like, no. And I was like, you said that too quickly. Think about it. And she was like, I don't need to think about it. And that's what kind of sparked me to figure out, well, if I can't do it, let me do it and figure it out. Or I should at least learn, and if I can do it, great. But I wanted to put that to the test, and I wanted to learn and, and see if I can or not.
Yeah, so what year was this that you did all the training and that?
2001, I want to say 2000. No, I'm sorry, 2001. I was 11 then. 2021. I
Oh,
meant
I would
2000.
say that's the year 9/11. So
Yeah,
honestly, not even,
no.
a great year to get that sort of thing if it was
Yeah.
2001.
No, 2021. Sorry about that. Yeah.
So with living in Los Angeles, like it's honestly a very amazing city, but also very dangerous to live in. Like once you live in Los Angeles, you are kind of like in a safe zone, but in a danger zone. Like you don't know what part of Los Angeles like is actually safe, even though it might look all classy and nice. But when you lived there in 2021 or still is, like, did you kind of feel that sort of like, oh, I'm getting kidnapped? Like, did you kind of feel that sense of it, or did you just kind of went through the training just in case the Taliban just comes and all that necessary for in case something happens like that?
So I lived in a very, very safe area of Los Angeles, or what I felt was very safe. That's one of the things I look for when I was looking for an apartment, like safety and stuff. However, during 2020, 2021, the crime was just really bad. There was tents everywhere. There was, people weren't being prosecuted for their crimes. So it was just like people were just running rampant, and it was just really scary time. So that's when I was just like curious about it. And I was just like, oh, I wonder if something was to happen, like, would I have enough common sense and would I have street smarts to be able to get out of it? Because what they teach too is like, if it works the first time, doesn't mean it's going to work the second time, right? And just because you escape the first time doesn't mean you're going to escape the second time, right? So it's kind of like going to karate or jujitsu or something like that. It's like you go to just train and practice and just develop, strength and discipline and all these other stuff that come with it. Just, it doesn't mean that you're ready if someone is to punch you in the face, like, or that, you're going to be able to block it and do the moves, but you just hope that if that time comes, you are prepared for it. And I think America as a country as a whole has become very unsafe. And it's number one in sex trafficking, and it just has staggering numbers that I feel like we should be paying attention to, and we should be protecting ourselves. And for me, especially as a young woman.
You are absolutely correct. Like lately, things have been absolutely crazy. Like depending on what city you are, every city is different from like perspective of maybe living in Los Angeles or Philly or Pittsburgh. Like those are all dangerous cities to be in. No matter if you are in a safe city or a safe suburb around it, you can get kidnapped or whatever, feel unsafe, even though you live in a safe environment. If
Yeah.
someone would have kidnapped me once, I probably would have went along with it, honestly, because I'm the type of person that was like, oh, if someone asks me would I get kidnapped, I'll be like, no, but my parents will say less, just because I'm one of those people that I was like, okay, like I wouldn't care. I would say less. That's because I'm the type of person that's like, I just go with it. And
Right.
it's something that like say to a lot of people, and I would rather change my perspective on that. But to live in a world we live in right now, I'd rather learn karate or train with a Navy SEAL than live in a safe country and not know anything.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel like no matter where you are, you should know how to protect yourself. In life, no matter what you do, nobody is coming to save you. And when you learn that, you have a better chance to, build that resilience and build that toughness and practice for yourself to prepare for anything in life. The one thing about I take a keto right now, the one thing about a keto is that for me it's extremely frustrating. When you're just starting out, white belt, yellow belt, all the belts, it's frustrating, right? But you develop over time and you get stronger and you get better and all this stuff. And the thing is that it's not like I'm looking for a fight. It's just that I am practicing for if I am prepared. And I don't care how safe the area might be. I think you should still not be walking around like, an airhead, not knowing what's going on, right? We should be cognizant of someone that's walking in that looks a little sketchy, knowing the exits, like that. Sometimes I could be a little bit to the extreme, but I'm always carrying at least a taser or something on me, So
Mhm.
it's just kind of important to protect yourself and realize that, you hope, I mean, that someone may save you, but at the same time, you do have to learn how to save yourself.
Well, yeah, not anyone's really gonna do it for you. The only person that can save you is yourself. And when I'm in one of those situations, I'm the type of person that was like, I'm just gonna look at my phone, just pretend that person's not there, even though that is not the smartest move. I can say that. And when you see someone sketchy and you think, oh, this guy seems like he's a little sketchy, like your instinct is always right. Even though you try maybe dismiss it, your gut is always right, no matter if it's something that happens when you're there or after you leave. You never know until you watch it on the news, because that's how we find most of our information. And with that, like carrying a taser is something that is a good weapon for to actually have, or maybe even have a pen in your bag or something, just to kind of have a little weapon. But having something with you at all times, I don't care if it's a phone, a taser, or a
Your car keys are a great
car-
weapon,
yeah, it can be
I do
anything. As long
that.
as you have
Yeah.
something on you, anything can help you in a certain
Yeah.
situation, even if you don't expect it in a safe area.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So to go to Empower Lit, it focuses
Yeah.
on literacy and personal growth for unserved communities. So what was kind of like the defining moment that led you to create this nonprofit?
I moved to South Carolina. That was what caused it because if I was I grew up in New York, and New York has an amazing education system. It has an amazing school district. I grew up very, very lucky to grow up in the town that I lived in on Long Island. I grew up in Sayville. I mean, we had an excellent school district, and we had a planetarium in our we still have a planetarium in our middle school. Swimming pool, we had shop class, we had you know, econ. We had all this amazing classes and amazing things aside from just, our standard. And they always brought in speakers. They always did events with the students and stuff to get us excited about learning. And it was a really good atmosphere. Like the kids in the school district were really nice and great, and everyone was just kind of, we knew of each other, and I don't know, wasn't what you see in the movies. and and then I came here to South Carolina, and as a children's author, and I speak at a lot of schools, they don't do that. They don't bring in speakers. They don't see the value in it. They don't, especially in the county I'm in. I'm in Horry County, and it's, I think, the largest county in South Carolina, and yet they don't have funding, or they don't, bring in people to speak or bring in authors. A couple of schools do. I don't want to say every school, but a lot of schools, they don't see the value in it, and they don't have the budget for it. And I said, you know what? I really want to make that a change. I really want to be able to get into the school district, and I don't want budget to be an option. I mean, a factor. And I want you to be able to see what Empower Lit's going to do, because we don't just come in and talk to your students. We have them for elementary school. We write a book, and we create a book together where they learn character and story development. They learn about belonging and self-esteem building. Like, it is a very, very impactful and inspiring, and motivates the students to create and write their own stories and tell their stories. And it's something that they're missing here, because they have some of the lowest test scores in the country, and it's just so poor that I really wanted to make a difference through my nonprofit. And when we get started, well, this is our first year. So as we move this forward, I really want to be able to see how it improves and how it inspires the kids within the next 3 to 5 years.
That's crazy because that's how Pennsylvania is in most of the counties. Because I am in Luzerne County, so it's kind of upper state towards New York, and it's one of the biggest counties down here in Pennsylvania on the east side. And I've realized too, there's nothing really like that in our area. No one really brought speakers in or authors or anything like that. And with that, like there's some amazing schools in the area, don't get me wrong, where I am. But there's nothing like that, especially in South Carolina. That's something that Pennsylvania does not really offer. And that's something that I know a lot of people see. But as a high school student, we want to see and hear from other people in the educated system and hear from other people, not just the teachers. Because that's something that most of the schools, especially Luzerne County, not every school, has a problem with, is not really bringing people in to help the students in certain situations.
Yeah, I really think that a speaker is really going to motivate, it's going to inspire your students to push themselves or to learn something new. And maybe it's something that if a teacher is listening to this, or a principal, it's something that you guys preach, but what you preach goes out the window, because those students hear you and they hear their parents every day. So what you have to say just goes over their head. But when you bring in a speaker, that is a game changer. Like my school, middle school, high school, elementary school, I remember we had Shel Silverstein come. I still have
Wait,
his
really?
signed book. Yeah, I still have his book they signed. We had amazing speakers throughout that just touched me. That just like, we had like someone from jail come to the school, which like really frightened me. And he was so raw and authentic about his experience. We had someone who had ALS talk about his experience of like what it is like as an ALS patient. And we had so many things like that. And I just think that kids need to meet people that can inspire them, mentor them, like, have them see the world in a different lens outside of some kids aren't as worldly, like some kids don't leave their town, right? Some
Yeah.
kids don't leave their state. And to bring somebody in that is technically like an alien, essentially it's like, that's so new and so different. It it gets them to listen. It opens their eyes a bit more. There's a lot that happens when you can do that. And that is exactly what my nonprofit is looking to do.
I have realized that like you made such a great point because when people, especially maybe high school or middle school students or lower, at a point, they were like, "Oh, there's mostly teachers and parents or classmates that I talk to. Like, I want to learn a new perspective." And I was the exact same way. It's after a while, you just want to hear someone new or talk to someone new. Just because
Yeah,
after a while, you just want to get rid of those people and stop hearing and listening to those type of people throughout the school year. And whenever someone would bring in a speaker, whether it's someone from jail or has experience or in the military, I have realized that me and my classmates were always paying more attention to that speaker, wherever it may be, than our teachers. Because they would just go through one year after other, unless it was like a actual lesson, then that's a different story. But if it's like a regular like type of personal lesson, then we don't care unless it's someone that has that like personal experience. Then we actually lay eyes on that. Because that
yeah,
when you listen to your parents and teachers, you're like, well, I take their lessons every day. Like, why can't I just get a different perspective? And I was the exact same way.
right.
But to hear someone you may not even know them, their story might be amazing. They're just like, why can't they just bring this person to school every day and now actually listen?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of power in speakers because they're sharing a story, and we are, as human beings, we long to belong. We long to connect with others, like being social is in our nature. We are social creatures.
Hmm.
Even introverts, need someone, we need that connection. And that's what stories do, right? And that's what speakers do. They go in and they share a story and they teach you something valuable. They motivate and inspire you. And I think that the education system can benefit greatly from bringing in speakers.
Exactly. Like that's why I love speakers so much because everyone brings something new to the table. Not
Hmm.
everyone has the same story. Not everyone has the same life experience. Not everyone has the same experience. Everyone has a different perspective, and that is something that a lot of people need to take in more rather than stay to the little label in one person.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
To go to a different subject, so you worked with some iconic names like Ralph Macchio and Penny Marshall, which is one of my personal favorite directors. Like, how do
Really?
experiences shape your perspective on storytelling and creativity?
So they're two totally different types of people that I
Mhm.
got the opportunity to work alongside. And I would say with Penny was really amazing
Mhm.
in a sense that she came from both sides. She came from a director and an
Mhm.
actress side, and she was very funny. And she was the one that was like taught me to go in front of the camera. She was like, get in front of the camera, start taking acting classes. Like that's where you belong. And I
Mhm.
was like terrified of being in front of the camera.
Mhm.
So I did what she said, and I took an acting class and stuff. And I would go on auditions, and I started to do stand-up comedy, and I just got more comfortable with
Mhm.
myself. Like that's the thing about acting. It's like you become so vulnerable and you have to be so raw that you get to know yourself better, And when you're up on that stage, everything's kind of a rush,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of nerves when it comes to comedy, but it's a rush unlike no other. So I
Mhm.
owe that to her a lot, because if it wasn't for her, I mean, it helped me transition into the speaking world. If it wasn't for her, I don't know if I would even be public speaking, and motivating people and stuff like that. So I really owe her that, and she taught me a tremendous amount. Working for her was not easy. It was challenging. She knew what she wanted, and she got what she wanted. So so yeah, so that was wonderful. And Ralph was a totally different experience where he probably one of the nicest people in Hollywood, the nicest person I ever worked with. He was so kind and caring, and all he wanted was just for me to learn as much as I can and soak everything up. And that's what he really taught me, was just no matter what, just soak everything up, always be observant. And it translates to my life now, and what I learn in life and how I translate it to being a speaker, always observing, always learning, always growing.
Like one thing about Ralph is that whenever people are watching maybe Cobra Kai, which just came out a new season or something, they always think, oh, maybe he's just like a little like jerk on television. He's probably the same
No, he's
way.
amazing.
But he seems like the most die-hard, nicest person ever that you.
Yeah.
And
No, he's
I feel
great.
like if I meet Ralph, I would be like, okay, this is the most hands down nicest actor award.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
he's
working
really
with
wonderful.
Penny Marshall, like that had to be a big experience for you. Because Penny Marshall is one of the biggest names in terms of director and actress, literally ever. She's literally an icon. Like the way she approaches different things as director and actress is literally top notch.
Yeah, she has paved the way for women in Hollywood. That is for sure. She was Hollywood royalty. She was an icon. You said it. So working for her, like I said, was a great opportunity for me. I was with her for 5 years until she passed away. And I ran her company, her business. But at that point, she wasn't doing as much. She
Mhm.
wasn't as busy as she was. And she allowed me to go and shadow directors. She allowed me to go take acting jobs and auditions and stuff like that while still working under her, which is something I'll never forget. I mean, like I said, if it wasn't for her, I would have never been so comfortable in front of the camera. So working for her was amazing. I mean, like I said, and it was interesting when we would walk onto set because it kind of reminded me of The Godfather when like everyone kissed the ring, because that's what it was like walking with Penny Marshall anywhere, like on set, because she had that Hollywood royalty. And she also did not care. She
Mhm.
was just that type of person that just did what she wanted. She said what she wanted. She didn't care whose feelings she hurt, like
People
nothing. Like
just say like no
yeah,
one's doesn't even care, like hands down. Gonna
she
say it.
she did not care. She'd say whatever. And it, no filter, no filter. And you had to have tough skin when you worked with her. You had to have tough skin being around her because again, you just didn't know what zinger she had, and what she was saying. So it was definitely an experience for sure.
Like to work with Penny Marshall is always an experience, with her
Yeah.
being such Hollywood royalty, like you literally have to have tough skin. As much as she is an icon, I would probably hate working with her on a daily basis though, just because how tough skin she is, so.
It was intense. It was intense, but you learn a lot.
Like to learn speaking stuff out of her, like I'd rather work with her with speaking things and all that surroundings. I feel like I'll get very much confidence from her than anyone else. It's because like she's one of the best. So I was like,
Yeah.
if I need speaking encouragement, going in front of people, I know I can trust Penny Marshall. So, your children's books emphasize belonging and resilience. So, what inspired these themes and how do you hope they resonate with young readers?
So my first book is called You Really Truly Do Belong. I have a second book. that is called You Really Truly Are Enough. It is not out yet. Currently, as we are recording this video, I have a crowdfunder going for it to get the funding. But all of my books, it's the second book in the series, so the main character is also going to be in the next book as the main character. And all of my books are all about empowering
Mhm.
kids and helping them tackle limited beliefs that many of us face. Like many of us have felt like we didn't belong before. Many of us have felt like an outsider, like we're lonely. Nobody understands us, right? Those are the feelings that pop up throughout childhood and even into adulthood. And what I teach and through my book, which is why it's kind of like, oh, the places you'll go by Dr. Seuss, because it can be for anybody. And what I learned, and it took me 31 years to learn, and it's that belonging and fitting in are two totally different things. You cannot fit in, but still belong, right? You can stand out and still belong. And belonging is something that you have in your heart. And it's like, you know that you're enough and you keep showing up and being your authentic self, knowing that you belong there.
Mhm.
And you have to, and when I trained in that Navy SEAL prep program, I did not fit in, right? Female, 5 feet tall, under 100 pounds. I wasn't very good. I didn't fit in. You could point me out, no problem. But I belong there. And I knew that in my heart, which is why I showed up every single training. It's why I worked as hard as I did, because I wanted to I had a mission and I had a goal. And in order for me to achieve that, I had to stick this out, right? And
Mhm.
true belonging is knowing that you're enough no matter what. I wasn't trying to change myself to be like everybody else. I was just being me, and that was enough. And everyone accepted me, everyone accepted me for me. And once you accept you, that's true belonging, not seeking validation from other people. Yeah, it's nice hearing it, but we don't need it. I like to hear it, but I don't need to hear it, right? So those are some of the things that I learned. And I put this in the children's book to teach kids. It's an alien's perspective because the alien is the ultimate outsider, right? And so the alien comes to Earth and is trying to belong, but the alien doesn't fit in anywhere, right? Because nobody's like the alien, right? Nobody has that green skin. And so the alien is trying to play sports and an instrument and is too afraid, never played that sport, never played that instrument. All these things that pop up for ourselves that make us feel like we don't belong there, right? And at
Mhm.
the end of the book, the alien learns that it's all about in your heart. You can never play baseball, but want to play baseball and know that you belong there without having to fit in, right? And
Mhm.
that's what I teach, and that's what I talk about, and that is one of the biggest lessons that you're going to learn from that children's book. And then the other children's book is just teaching kids that they're enough, because how many times do you say, I'm not enough? And that could be in any it could be in any form. Like, I can't do it. I'm not pretty enough. Oh, that person's better than me. Oh, I gotta, compete with this person or that person, or, all these things stem from I'm not good enough. And if we can learn that, we are enough just as we are, right? But still, improve and be better within ourselves. It's always us versus us. That's what we learn when we learn we're enough, versus competing with other people. So that's one of the messages, and those are the messages that I bring through my children's books.
I should buy the books for my niece and nephew. Oh my God, is that something that I honestly struggle with growing up? Because as a 18-year-old high school senior, this is a time where a lot of people feel like I'm not enough, like college,
Yeah.
like all of that sort of thing. A lot of people is dealing with it, and this is literally the peak of it. Being like, oh, no one wants me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's literally the biggest heartbreaking loneliness that you'll probably feel in your high school career or as a student. And to feel that time, like I honestly deal with this so much. I'm just like I'm literally probably an expert at it at this point. And to deal with that, no one should have to deal with it, but everyone deals with that in some sort of level. So when they deal with that experience, they're like, well, I'm alone, but I'm not alone at the same time. It's like when they have people, they don't want to say, oh, I'm alone, even though they have people, because they might have a bunch of people around them but feel alone at the same time. That is something that a lot of people I know deal with is that like especially as a teenager, that is really the time where a lot of people, especially teenagers or young adults, deal with friends that are not their friends. And
Mhm.
it can bring heartbreaking for a lot of people thinking like, oh, why am I experiencing this? But that is something that it helps a lot of teenagers grow as a person, even
Yeah.
though it makes them feel alone and kind of not having a lot of people besides their family. It can help them find their inner circle and find that confidence. Even though they might not fit in, they have people around them, even though they might not exactly fit in. So I think that is the best way to wrap up this episode. Like I really appreciate you joining us for today on today's episode, and thank you so much for joining us at your busy schedule. Your journey
Thanks
is
for having
really
me.
inspiring. I know our listeners has gained so much from your insights and resilience, your journey, and everything. To everyone tuning in. I hope this episode has encouraged you to push yourself beyond your comfort zone, embrace your authentic self, and take many steps to your dream. Remember, as Gina shared, as challenges we face can shape us into our stronger, more determined versions of ourselves. But if you like to learn more about Gina's work, I'll put her links and everything to like children's books, her upcoming projects, and her nonprofit in the show notes. But I really appreciate all the hard work and everything you're doing. I see all over social media. It's definitely getting out there. So I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really great talking with you.
You too. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and review, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.